Good afternoon. Welcome to this edition of Citizen Live at 1. I'm Janet Mbogwa. In our top story, President Uhuru Kenyatta has urged governments to join efforts to contain Ebola that is ravaging West African countries. Kenyatta, in his maiden speech at the United Nations General Assembly last night, said Ebola threatens global security and economy. And as Jackie Maribe reports, the president says Kenya Airways is ready to resume flights to Western African countries worst hit by the disease once appropriate measures are in place.
It is these devastating scenes in Liberia that have drawn the world's attention to the reality of the Ebola crisis. A reality that has informed conversation among world leaders converged at the United Nations General Assembly in New York, and a conversation that President Uhuru Kenyatta says needs an urgent call to action. Kenyatta, in his first ever speech at the UN General Assembly, says the crisis has a direct impact on many countries' security and economy. But Kenya, he says, is ready to set an example of a positive response to the crisis.
We stand ready to resume Kenya Airways flights once appropriate measures are put in place.
And First Lady Margaret Kenyatta's efforts towards protecting maternal and child health would get a special mention.
I wish to commend the First Lady of Kenya, Mrs. Margaret Kenyatta, for successfully launching the Beyond Zero campaign that is tapping into private sector financing to bolster the management of chronic preventable diseases, including HIV/AIDS, and to improve maternal and child health.
But it is the threat posed by terrorism and extremism in violence that would dominate not just President Kenyatta's speech, but that of many leaders. And while Be Thy Brother's Keeper, or in this case, Neighbor's Keeper, would inform this plea.
We cannot let this young nation and its people down. At this assembly, I make a special plea for South Sudan, for no nation has over the years suffered as much neglect from the international community. In Somalia, Kenya continues to sacrifice lives and resources in an effort to bring peace to our neighbor. We do this.
The terrorism debate would see the United Nations Security Council, the highest decision-making organ of the UN, unanimously adopt an anti-terror resolution that will, among other things, see nations prevent the movement of terrorists or terrorist groups through their territory and ensure domestic laws allow for prosecution of those who attempt to do so. The meeting, chaired by US President Barack Obama, is the sixth of its kind to be convened at the level of heads of state. Jackie Maribe, Citizen Live at 1.
Now, at the moment, CORD coalition leaders are meeting at the Bomas of Kenya to assess progress in the Okoa Kenya referendum push. Kendago Badia is standing by on the ground to bring us the latest developments in those discussions. Kendago.
Many thanks indeed, Janet Mbogo, right there at the Communication Center. Of course, we are coming to you live from the Bomas of Kenya, where the Okoa Kenya Referendum Initiative is putting in place the initial stages of rolling out what they are calling public sensitization rallies that are set to kick off from this weekend towards the coming week. This is the CORD elected leadership all assembled here today, members of parliament, senators, MCAs all assembled here together with governors. And what is happening here is that the committee of experts is trying to brief the membership here on the proposed issues that are supposed to be subjected to what they are calling public initiative, that is changing the constitution through a public initiative. Remember, there are two ways that can be done. You can do it through an act of parliament. It can also be done through a public initiative, otherwise known as the referendum. And what is happening here is that the committee of experts is just giving them the proposals that they've received from the proponents of this push so that they are able to roll out nationwide campaigns where they will be informing members of the public on these particular issues and trying to, of course, rally them behind the cause. Well, joining me now is Senate Minority Whip, none other than Johnston Mudhama, Senator from Machakos. He's going to share with us just how much they've been able to achieve, because this is also part of assessing their progress so far. Senator Mudhama, what would you say about what you have been able to achieve so far in terms of rallying Kenyans behind this cause?
First of all, I wish to thank you and your media house, that is Citizen, for good work that you have been doing actually in connection on the matters that touches on the referendum that we are driving on within the country. I want to start by saying that we launched our initiative about a month ago, and we have made great steps, because from what we have realized, even the perceived areas which are controlled by Jubilee, you have seen the other day in Nandi that there was some problems, because certain leaders, they went to sell the referendum openly in public. But Jubilee supporters, some of them, they were not happy about that. So I want to say, looking at the country and all corners of country, Kenyans are ready for referendum. And why are they ready for referendum? It's because of issues that are being raised by CORD and the drivers of the referendum. We can say up to now we are close to over 3 million people. And looking at the 24 counties that are required by the Constitution, we are over and above the 24. But let me say this, that Kenyans, they have managed to understand why the referendum is coming to them. And one of the issues is what is being now given by the Committee of Experts. You know, we talked about the issue of revenue allocation. Asking for this, Kenyans, they came to realize that the Constitution talks about not below 15%. So we don't want any president or any minister or any government officer to be telling Kenyans, I've moved from 15 to 18, 20, 21. But we want it to be in the Constitution, whereby Kenyans will know that their share based on revenue allocation is not on the basis not below, but it must say 40%, 45%, and that is what we are asking for. And Kenyans, they came to know and realize that they are not getting the share as they are supposed to be getting when the revenue allocation is being given.
Well, Senator Mudhama, Kenyans now know some of these issues. We've seen, you've talked about land, you've talked about inclusivity, you've talked about strengthening our institutions, security, among other things. Kenyans know about this. But what they're asking today, how close are we to getting to that one referendum question that is supposed to be subjected to referendum?
We are not far from getting to that. And the time is of essence. We know that. And we know Kenyans are not ready to wait this for a long time. They want it as soon as possible. We had proposed actually to complete our signatures by December. But from the look of things, we think that by end of October, mid-November, we should be having the numbers. Referendum, we don't want it, frankly speaking, to go beyond June itself next year. But we are looking at it to be between February and March. But if it takes long, then it is in June.
My last question to you, because we are actually on our news hour. My last question to you is that this is a popular initiative, as you call it, which requires that you, as the proponents of this idea, are together, moving forward together. But we've seen a lot of defiance from some of your members of parliament. How do you, as a minority whip, the person who is supposed to put these people together, how do you intend to achieve this as you move towards campaigning period? Because if you're divided, I'm sure you're not going to get anywhere.
Kenya is a democratic country, and it is good to recognize the constitutional democratic rights of everybody. So it's not a must that if you are in CORD, you must support. We are seeing this only in Jubilee, where it is being said, if you are in Jubilee, you should not support the referendum. We in CORD, we understand constitutional rights of everybody. We understand the democratic constitutional rights of every citizen. So the few voices that are coming, from the grassroots or from different corners of this country. Those are democratic exercise being actually practiced by Kenyans, and we have no problem with that. In fact, we are happy that we are also being challenged by some of our good supporters, some of our good elected leaders, and equally we are happy also that we can see from Jubilee, we are also getting Jubilee people and leaders who are supporting the referendum.
In one word, is the referendum being pushed by governors your secret card towards the end of this thing?
You know, governor is only one person. Don't forget, in that count of governor, who is elected the governor, there is a senator. Don't forget there is a women rep. Don't forget that there are other leaders, MCs and members of parliament. So we are not really depending on governors as it is being seen by many people in this country. We are depending more so on people who are ready to push the referendum. It doesn't matter who. So they are free to do what they want, and we have no problem with them, and we are not forcing them. And I want to Jubilee to stop forcing the senators and the governors not to support the referendum.
Thank you so much, Honorable Johnson Muthama. That is the Machakos Senator, Johnson Muthama, who is also the minority whip in the Senate, telling us what measures they've been putting in place, what they've been able to achieve so far, and how they want to deal with defiance in the party so that as they move towards the referendum, they move as one team. Well, Janet, we are still at the initial stages of this particular meeting. We are yet to get to the end of it. The political leaders have not spoken. We have the co-leader Raila Odinga right here. We have the other co-principal, Moses Wetangula, Senator for Bungoma, but Kalonzo Musyoka is absent. He is being represented by David Musila, who is also a senator from the Wiper Party. And so at the end of it all, we'll be able to tell you what exactly these people have been able to talk about and what they are going to do after this. All we know is that they are ready to roll out what we call public sensitization that will finally lead to the rallying everyone behind this cause and eventually to the referendum. Back to you, Janet Mbugua, at the Communication Center.
Okay, thank you so much for that comprehensive summary there. Kenda Gobadia coming to us live from the Bombers of Kenya, engaging court leaders in their referendum push, details of which will be coming your way in our subsequent newscast as well. Deputy President William Ruto's lawyer at the ICC has accused the prosecution of threatening to disclose the identity of the 24th witness if he declines to testify before the court. David Hooper told the court that prosecution officers have warned the witness that he will only be protected if he agreed to testify. This was after the witness recanted his earlier statement. The prosecution now wants the witness to be declared hostile.
What you will find and see is a very, very worrying threat made by OTP investigators to this witness that unless he cooperates with them and comes to them, they're going to disclose his name. That is quite a shocking process that we're going to see. And I don't mind you, the judges, seeing it. But the problem is that it doesn't actually advance the prosecution's case. And so where we're going on this...
Did you actually say that there was a threat made to a witness that unless he cooperates, his name will be disclosed?
Yes.
Which is quite incorrect, Your Honour. I will explain in due course.
I may have put a particular shine on it, but in all seriousness, you'll see that that's effectively what happens. What the investigators say is this: something terribly serious has come up. You're at risk. You're at increased risk. We can't protect you where you are, i.e. in Kenya. You're going to have to come out. But if you don't come out, then all we can do, and will have to do, in fulfillment of our duties, is to ask the Kenyan government to protect you.
The government has cautioned against exam cheating, saying tough penalties will be meted out to anyone, including students, teachers and exam officials, found to be engaging in cheating. Education Principal Secretary Dr. Belio Kipsang has also condemned schools that fail to register students for the exams, saying that the government will cater for registration fees for candidates beginning next year. He was speaking at Mtihani House in Nairobi during the launch of this year's examination exercise for the KCSE and KCPE exams. More than 40,000 students will sit for the KCSE exams and 889,000 for the KCPE exams this year.
Please stand up as we kick off the examinations. For honoring our invitation.
As early as last month, people were selling fake papers in the name of examinations. We got some as Kenya National Examination Council, and I want to assure Kenyans that whatever it is that was going around in some regions were just people making money out of the desperations of the Kenyan people to pass in their exams.
Na visa vya udanganyifu katika kaunti vimezidi kupungua, ijapokuwa hali yetu kawaida hatutaki visa vya udanganyifu kwa sababu mtihani sio hali ya kudanganya, lakini tumemakinisha kila mtu, wanafunzi na wale walimu na maafisa wote wa elimu na hasa pia walinda usalama. Tunahakika kwamba mwaka huu hatutakuwa na visa vya kuhatarisha mitihani ya wanafunzi.
For the examinations we are ready. Already we have put in the structures within Mombasa. By meeting all the officers who will be charged with the responsibility of managing the examinations. We have also identified the invigilators.
Residents of Kapsumbeyo village in Nandi County yesterday blocked a section of the Himaki-Nandi Hills Road to protest the arrest of 3 people who were locked up after tea plucking machines were set ablaze during another demonstration.
Tea plucking has been paralyzed in Kapsumbeyo village as residents protest the arrest of villagers who were locked up by police after tea plucking machines belonging to Kapsumbeyo tea factory were set on fire. It is a standoff that brought to the fore dislike for the machines, which residents say deny them jobs.
Vijana wetu wanaendesha machine, wanawake yao bado ni watoto wachanga, wanaanza kutoroka. Wanasema hii machine inaharibu vijana upande wa siri. Sasa tumeumia, tumenyanyaswa, tumekuwa tukifuguswa, tukiambiwa kazi hakuna.
The 3 were charged with arson and released on a 2 million shillings bail, which residents say is too high.
Wanafanya kazi ya moshi, lakini hapo nyuma wale hiyo mashine ilichomwa na watu hatujui ni nani alichoma hiyo vitu. Watu walikosa kazi tena, sijui kama hiyo ilikuwa chuki yao ama nini.
Tulitanganywa na kampuni, watoto wanaenda semina na hawakurudi. Mpaka wa leo masaa hii hatuwezi tukabali maneno yenye tunaambiwa na serikali. Tulitosheka jana, saa hizi tunataka watoto wetu warudi nyumbani.
Security has been beefed up following the reports that members of the public are allegedly planning to set the factory on fire if their men are not set free.
Wasipo tuleta watoto tunaanza plan C. Jana ilikuwa plan A, saa hii tuko pina tunaenda C.
Safi Godana, Citizen Live at 1.
A somber mood engulfed Uasin Gishu County during a memorial service to honor 3 senior officials allied to Uasin Gishu County Governor's Office who perished in a road accident on Saturday. The event held at Eldoret Sports Club saw various leaders from different counties turning up to show solidarity with family and friends.
Family and friends assembled to grieve the loss of their loved ones. 3 men who Saturday lost their lives in a grisly road accident. The 3 were in a convoy heading to Burnt Forest for a funeral, which the Deputy President attended after issuing 10 vehicles meant to embrace security in Uasin Gishu County. The leaders who attended the service, including governors from Uasin Gishu, Kakamega, Elgeyo Marakwet and Bomet, choosing to steer clear of politics and instead condoling those in attendance.
Ninajua hii ni uchungu sana aswa kwa gavana. Nilipokutana na gavana Jumamosi iliyopita, nilimhakikishia ya kwamba nitakuwa hapa na nyinyi.
Very active people. I have known them for quite a bit of time because tuko now karibu kila saa. Tukiwa na Governor Mandago, tukija Uasin Gishu, hawa wamekuwa wakitukaribisha eneo hili na tulipata pigo kubwa sana.
Mimi sina mambo mengi ya kusema, na kusema tu nimepoteza watu walikuwa wamejitolea kusaidia mimi kuendesha kazi ya hii kaunti iende mbele, na mimi nataka kusema pole.
Henry Cherop Korir, political advisor to the governor, Gideon Kiptanui Chesingli, private secretary to the governor, and Titus Kimeli Bet, who was the personal assistant to the governor, were in the company of two more when they had a head-on collision at Outspan along the Eldoret-Nakuru highway. Evelyn Omboy, Citizen at 1.
A Garissa court has fined 107 Ethiopian aliens 30,000 shillings each, or a 6-month imprisonment term, for being in the country illegally. The aliens were arrested last weekend at Benane in Garissa County on their way to Namanga. Resident Magistrate Victor Asiu has directed that the aliens be taken back to their country upon finishing their jail term or raise the cash. The 107 aliens were taken to Garissa Main GK Prison.
Their country of origin being Ethiopia. We have 14 days that
We still have more stories coming your way after this short break. Stay with Citizen TV.